as I, like you, are Charles. We are here to support and to put pressure on the judicial system. First, I'd like to introduce Jean Sherlock, a parent that deserves music.
Keep drinking coffee, staring down across the table while I look at.
She has children and grandchildren in the public schools. She's an educator, activist with Occupy, special education teacher at Chicopee High. Welcome.
Yoo-hoo.
Hello, everybody. It's good to see everybody here.
Hey,
I'm here to talk about the criminalization of our youth. I'm a white woman, obviously, but I took in some Cambodian kids back in the early 90s, and even though I had a good theoretical understanding of racism, when I took those kids in, I got a serious understanding of racism. The minute I took them in, I had cops driving by my house, showing up, trying to buy drugs. They had criminalized these kids, right? I'm out in Amherst. It's a middle-class neighborhood out by UMass, and they couldn't tolerate the fact that there were kids of color in that town. So that's where I started getting educated about how the schools are involved in criminalizing our kids. Right? It's bad enough you got to deal with the criminal justice system. You're out on the street, your kids are getting stopped left and right. It's costing you money to keep them in a car, right? So there's two basic issues, two basic things that they use to criminalize our kids. One is this zero tolerance policy, where they're looking to bust kids for having a little bit of pot in school, or they're calling them down to the principal's office because they saw some kind of suspicious transaction, right? In Amherst school system, you're suspicious if you're not white. If you're a kid of color and you're handing your friend a cookie, they're going to think you're dealing drugs. They're going to drag you in there and search your backpack and not even call your parents, right? So I've been around a lot of different school systems. I worked in Springfield for a few years as a substitute teacher, went into all the high schools. I see what you poor kids are putting up with there. I hear what the teachers say in the background, you know, the code words they use and everything. And that's happening everywhere. I just want to read a quote this is CNN. In the past 2 decades, the money that states spend on prisons has risen at 6 times the rate of spending on higher ed. In 2011, California spent $9.6 billion on prisons, $5.7 billion on higher ed. Since 1980, California has built 1 college campus. It's built 21 prisons. $50,000 to lock up a kid, $7,000 for education for that same kid for a year.
I just celebrate 80 years of being here. God has blessed me to be 80 years old.
Shoot.
I've been preaching the gospel for 57 years. I've been pastoring the church for 48 years. I started pastoring, I opened up on Father's Day, 1964, here in Springfield. And I've been pastoring church for 48 years this past Father's Day. And God has blessed me. I pray for the sick, I pray for people. I pray for unity, I pray for strength, and I pray for God to make a way for us. And this young man that we are celebrating, that they sentenced him, give him life in prison for something that he didn't do. And I told the family that God was going to work it out. And God had brought the cage back up. Now you know that's God. God has brought it back in. God has brought it back because prayer. God is working it out. And because of your coming, because of your concern, God is working it out. I want to tell you, thank you. God bless you.
How you doing?
with Charles' Uncle Ed, who was the person who turned me on to this whole cause.
Wow.
And it's some months later. It's June 23rd. A lot of things have happened, Ed. And can you tell us some of what's been happening and where are we going from here?
Well, Judge Peter Villas said that there weren't enough evidence to get a conviction and that there should be a new trial. However, there's been 2 dates, nothing yet. I'm waiting for a hearing on their position, whether to retry Charles. We received a note from the attorney, the appellate attorney, saying that they weren't going to appeal the judge's decision. So we learned that they weren't going to appeal the judge's decision, but still uncertain as to what they're going to do. So they're still undecided about what they're going to do at this point.
So the good news is, the two good news. One, the judge said that this is worthy of a new trial.
Yes.
Charles's case is worthy of a new trial.
Right.
And the prosecution said they're not going to appeal it.
The judge's decision.
The judge's decision.
And that right now they're not certain as to where they're going to go with this.
Yeah.
He spoke with, he got a visit from the attorney on Friday, and he said that
He is Charles you're talking about? Or?
this is Charles he received a visit from Attorney O'Neill, the trial attorney, because it's back and forth.
Yes.
If they're moving towards the appeals, he had the appellate attorney, but now either they're undecided on what they're going to do, but he met with Charles and said that they're going to try to argue bail. So bail would mean that until they can hatch it out, he could possibly be home on a bracelet, and that for him would be a start. And so I'm excited and hopeful about it, this whole thing.
And this is up, this public protest now about that, or just let it sit, or what's the best strategy?
Well, the best strategy is to respect the system and let it does what it's doing. But at the same time, we have to still continue to be Charles's mouthpiece. We have to speak for him. We have to make sure that folks are aware of what's going on. If there's no evidence, maybe there's a different approach, but the first time it was with, of course, Nathan Perez. He said he saw Charles, came back. I didn't see it. I was, pretty much pressured. And now, so they're looking for a way to fix it because it's a system. And then you got to think there's politics. So it's not an easy fix to undo. You understand? And so we're hopeful. But like I said, Mastriani he's a very sharp man. He's aware of how the system works. And so hopefully his office will be able to look at it. Like he said, they had no intentions on falsely prosecuting anyone. So when he said that, it kind of really made me see that, this is somebody, Mr. Mastriani he's not new at this. He's been around.
Yes.
So he knows there's a process, and so I'm really counting on his office to really look at it, and do what's right.
Well, I hope so. So thank you for all the work you're doing. I mean, you're doing it on behalf of Charles,
Yes.
but actually you're doing it on all our behalf.
Yes. The community at large.
It is.
It's very important.
It is.
And that's why we picked this area right here, because it's so important to honor.
So tell the viewers who don't know this area we're talking about.
This is Six Corners at beautiful neighborhood, Six Corners in Springfield. It was said to be the most violent area, one of them. But as you can see, there's children, there's ministers, there's bands which want to talk to you. There's a lot of beautiful people.
So this is Vera. This is Charles's aunt. She's married to Ed, and you are the dynamic duo, really the heroes of this. I was just saying to Ed that you've done a lot for Charles, but you've done so much for all of us. And So I was asking Ed about an update. What's his sense of what's happening? What's his strategy? How about you? What are your thoughts right
and
now?
I want to acknowledge it on the flip side, Paki. You've done a lot for us, putting our clips on YouTube and helping us disseminate information and share people and educate people about our struggle, our case. A quick update about our case. Okay, so the district attorney's office, we're going to be having a session on Monday, the 25th of June. So in a couple of days, we'll be back at the courthouse with the 6 a.m. vigil. And, you know, it's supposed to be a quick little hearing from what it got changed, the purpose of this particular session. They're going to be talking about setting up a bail hearing date or something, maybe for July, sometime in July or August. And we're disappointed because we were expecting this to be a hearing for the DA to be able to drop the charge because he can do that or go ahead with trial. Apparently the Assistant District Attorney Donna Donato is sick, so they need to find a replacement for her. And we heard that the detective that was on the case that was involved with getting the statement from the recanted witness, Nathan Perez, is off the case, and I think they have somebody new. But we're sort of, we think it's curious, like why are they dragging this out? Why does Charles need to do an extra day, an extra 2 days, an extra month, an extra 2 months? And then we're going to be back here next year? I don't think so. I think we really need to talk about the horrible things that are involved with this case as far as the investigation, as far as how the DA's office is handling it. So.
Well, I think this is one of the things that's happening. I mean, when I just talked to Ed, and he talked about the bail hearing, I mean, that would be the most amazing thing if he can be released on bail. And you're exactly right. How long does that have to drag on?
Right.
So, you know, whatever, as soon as you all say what you think the next strategy for the community to do, will be there.
Right. And, you know, and I'm wary that when he's out, you know, there's so much potential for things to come at him, forces to come at him, because, you know, we're vulnerable in our community, and today is about Juneteenth, right? It's about freedom. How much freedom do we really have if you don't feel safe coming out of your home, if you don't feel safe walking down the street, if you don't feel safe going to the store, if you don't feel safe even in your own living room like Charles? He lives across the street there. He lived there when they picked him up in his living room. You know, they came after him on September 17th, 2009, right in his home. So if you can't be safe in your own home, minding your own business, and you didn't murder anyone the year prior, like, how are you supposed to feel secure? How is little Aisha, his daughter, supposed to feel secure, you know? And that's what it's about. You know, Juneteenth, you know, back in 1865, and I'm not a historian, so I might have this a little bit mixed up, but, you know, it was the ending of slavery when that was announced for folks that, hey, slavery's over, folks. And so, you know, how much of our lives are we living in not such a free, you know, situation. And so that's what today's about. You know, we've always said, you know, we have a commitment to freeing Charles Wilhite, but we also have a commitment to the community and freedom for the community as well. So, thank you.
My name is Ahmad Rivera. Most recently, I was the Ward 6 Springfield City Councilor. We need a revolution of love and progress, and the people standing in this space are the people who are going to lead that movement. So I thank you all for coming out today. I'm also, and I'll end on this, I'm proud that we are celebrating more Black history. That we too often forget in Springfield that we have a beautiful and proud Black community that has been doing civil rights work forever. And that we need to be proud of where we've come from and what we're doing, and proud that we're celebrating Juneteenth. With that said, I also want to introduce Ben Swan, the state representative from this district. Representative Swan. For those who may not know, Ben Swan has been a tireless advocate for this community. He made stances on behalf of this community when it wasn't easy, when it wasn't popular, and he's been doing this for over a decade. So he is also running for re-election, so make sure you're registered to vote. Make sure you can vote. Who's over 18 here? Raise your hand if you're over 18. Please vote. Barack Obama is also running for re-election president of the United States. How many people are voting for Barack Obama? How many people are voting for Barack Obama? Thank you very much. Can we re-elect our president? Can we re-elect our president? But it takes leaders at the grassroots level, at every level of government, to make our president successful. So I am proud to introduce one of the greatest representatives we have in the state, Representative Benjamin Swan. Thank you.
I don't know who you're talking about. Thanks, Devon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Isn't it a great afternoon?
Yes.
Everybody's having fun.
Yes, sir.
It's a beautiful day, it's a beautiful occasion, and it is a beautiful event. I'm very pleased to be here. I'm very pleased to be here to share in the joy of this event with you. Now, Ahmad talked about elections and voting for the president and involving ourselves in politics. I usually say to everybody, not only should you vote individually, but you should call your friends and relatives wherever they are in the whole of the United States of America. Because most of you who are standing before me have traveled somewhere, or somebody you know lives somewhere else. So we want to make sure that we make this election a movement, a grassroots movement. Not just at the local level, but we got to get rid of Mitt Romney. And I sometimes apologize to people for Massachusetts having elected him governor of the Commonwealth some years ago. I don't know how we did that. We just one of those bloops that we make, I guess. But if you listen to what he's talking about now, he seems like he's against everything that people like and enjoy. Everything the president says, he's against. No matter what it is, no matter how many times he has supported it before. Now, I happen to pay attention to something that happened recently. A few years ago, Republicans introduced a health plan in the United States Congress. In fact, it was a bipartisan plan. You had people like, what's the gentleman's name, who ran against the president 4 years ago, from Arizona.
McCain.
You had McCain, and you had Dole. Remember Dole? Some of you are old enough to remember Dole. He helped to draft that health plan, and it had mandates in it. Romney came up and supported a health plan in Massachusetts that has mandates in it. Now they don't want to touch anything that has mandates in it. They don't want to touch anything that provides health care for the people of this country. I think there should be a single-payer plan and a national health plan that includes everybody.
Yoo-hoo.
No matter how healthy or financially, or in terms of technology, a nation might be, it is no further advanced than the health of its population. No matter how strong a nation is militarily, it is no stronger than the health of its citizens. So you have to remember that. Now, one of the things that's happening here, there's a number of booths around the park here that has health information in it. Over here, over there. Check out that information. Check out that information. And almost every week in Springfield now, there's some kind of a health fair to provide information regarding food that you should consume or should not consume. But we gotta be concerned about our health physically. I know food is being served, but one of the things I like to caution people too is that sometimes we eat too much. Sometimes we eat too much, and to the point where it hurts our bodies. So you have to be conscious of that. Now I want to say something. I want to acknowledge Minister Johnny, who is the imam of the Mosque 13 here in the city of Springfield, standing over there, so acknowledge him and give him a hand. That is very important. And all of you who have been involved in some kind of effort to make our lives better in the city of Springfield and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and wherever you have an opportunity to work, it is important that you continue to do that. And sometimes people say we've been working too long. Ahmad said that I've been involved for at least over a decade. That was kind. My gray hair is not premature. I on it the old-fashioned way. I didn't have it until I was about 60. So it is important that we who have been involved, that we are committed to it. That's our lives, and we should just relax and know that we have to keep working. And it's not like we're going to reach a happy hunting ground. See, sometimes we think that all we have to do is get somebody elected, and that is all there is to it. Sometimes we think that all we have to do is get a certain bill enacted, and that's all there is to it. Well, there's always work to be done. I use the birds and the bees as an example of my work. While they are alive, they are continuing to go about survival and doing the things that they know they must do. Now, we have some legislation pending in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts today, and I talk about it. I don't know how many of you listen to the Black Love Experience on Friday mornings from 9 until 10. On that program, I've used it for more than 25 years, but I try to provide information to the community. And since I was elected 18 years ago, I try to provide information regarding what is happening in Boston, what is going on in Boston, so that you will be familiar with it, because sometimes the newspaper or the regular media is not going to give you the information in a way that you can digest it and understand it real good. Now, you know about Stand Your Ground legislation in Florida that resulted, that Zimmerman used in the murdering of Trayvon. Now, that bill has been introduced in Massachusetts for the last 5 years. The last 5 years. It's pending now. It is pending now in Massachusetts, but we expect to kill it again. We have another bill that is pending, and some of you know about it, and that is the so-called 3 strikes. Boo! Yes. Yeah, boo again, because come on, you need to boo that. Now, what they have come up with, some people have come up with, we have had mandatory minimum sentencing. Since I've been elected, I've been voting for every bill, no matter how good it sounds, no matter what its purpose is supposed to be, but everything that has a mandatory minimum component to it, I will vote against it. Mandatory minimum sentencing has not worked. What it has done is fill the jail with young men, black and brown men, and messing up their lives. They don't work. They cost you, the taxpayers, a lot of money. It costs more money to keep a person in jail in Massachusetts than it does to send that person to Harvard or MIT. Now, this particular bill that they came up with calls for not a mandatory this time, but a maximum sentencing after 3 felony convictions. We have that bill now tied up in a committee, the conference committee between the House and the Senate. I personally hope that it dies there. It might not, but what we are doing as the Black and Latino caucus is trying to fight it and trying to modify it as much as we can. We've had some influence over it, but I still don't like it. But I advise, and I hope that all of you here become more attuned to what is happening in your state. Because sometimes we look away to Texas or to Florida, and we have some of the same mindsets in Massachusetts, and that we need to fight those bills here as well. There's a lot of organizations try to make changes only to benefit themselves. Now, you've seen that because you've felt it also. They enact legislation that changes tax to benefit themselves. They establish organizations that sounds good. The Heritage Institute, Heartland Institute, the American Legislative Exchange Council, the Cato Institute. They are organized and they establish chairs in our universities for the think tanks, thank you, for the purpose of convincing people of the righteousness of their cause. And also to get legislators to support the interests that they have. And so whenever you get a chance, whenever we have a chance to influence thought any kind of way we can toward our aim and intent, collectively we must do that. But I just simply want you to remember that and take a part in doing that. And one of the things I say on the radio program, The Black Love Experience, I want to use it to prod thought. So before you this afternoon, I want to convince you, especially young people, that your thoughts are as important as any thoughts anywhere else from anybody. Just use them positive. Use them for your security. Use them for your happiness. Use them for the people around you. Use them for your community development.
No One Leaves is one of the most exciting, powerful campaigns in Springfield ever. Here in Springfield, what they're doing is building a movement, a grassroots movement against foreclosures by the big banks. I am so thrilled and honored to welcome to the stage one of their leaders. She's one of the most powerful speakers I have ever seen. She's got a powerful voice, and she's been a great organizer for No One Leaves. Her name is Candia Pink, and here she is to talk to you about what she's doing and hopefully sing a little song. Give it up.
How's everybody doing?
Good.
That's good. I'm feeling great too. Okay. Woo. According to Smithsonian's website, on January 1st, 1863, President Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation was announced and all slaves in America were free. The problem was, not all slaves were informed. It took almost 2.5 years before they got wind of this message. It was said, in amazement and disbelief, the 250,000 former slaves in Texas learned that they had been freed by the Emancipation Proclamation, which could not be enforced until the war was over. It applies only to the states in rebellion at the time it was issued. Can you imagine not knowing you are free for so long? It is good that we are taking the time to celebrate the history that we have overcome. We need to remember and embrace the ugliness that few have encountered. This let us know that someone is out there fighting for us, that every day is an Independence Day. We have a responsibility to stand up for ourselves and unite for our moral rights. Did you know that on February 3rd, 1870, African American men were able to vote? We as a country were moving in a positive direction, but the promise of the 15th Amendment would not be fully recognized for almost a century. And that's in the Library of Congress. What does that tell you? That we have a voice and only some of us can use it? Well, because of the hard work of people united together to claim our moral rights in the late 1960s, we are all able to vote. So are you registered? Because I am. My children are also. I do not play. I let them know that if you have a complaint about how the government is running our country, then use your voice. Vote. This brings me to another struggle that we are having in our town. Some of us have noticed that our town is a little messy, and is because of the high foreclosure crisis. Now, once again, there are a group of people that choose not to be fair to the people of the town. We, Springfield No One Leaves, who are made up of families in foreclosed homes, family, friends, and allies, decided to ask our counselor to let the greedy banks know that since you have gotten a high bailout to save your business, you need to work with our owners. By doing so, we want a mandatory mediation, and if they must take the house from our hardworking families, then they should pay the city to keep it maintained. I mean, look around. How many blocks did you walk through and saw boarded up houses, children playing in them, drugs being used in them, grass is taller than you and I put together, decayed rooftop? Tell me, when you come home from work late at night and you are a bus rider, do you feel safe? I do not. I fear mainly for our children. How many are shacked up in a friend's home and overcrowded because apartments are unavailable or unaffordable? I can say this because of all that I just said, the councilors decided to pass the strongest anti-foreclosure ordinance in our country.
Yoo-hoo!
That's right. The banks would have to pay to clean up this mess they caused. Guess what? The banks refused and countered that by suing our city. How sad is that? Our city is already losing funds, so they say now the big, huge, high-paying corporation is suing our little town. How does that make you feel? Are you angry? I am too. The city decided not to implement the ordinance until the hearing is over. So once again, we must suffer. When will this madness end? I tell you this, the hearing is on June 27th, Wednesday. We would like for you to come join us at 11 a.m. We're going to be there to put shame on the Mass Bank Association and the banks who signed onto the lawsuit. Assuming the lawsuit is defeated, there's no more barrier to implement this ordinance. It's time to do what's right for our city. We're going to be demanding that Mayor Serrano, how do you say his name? There you go, sorry. And the city to move quickly to implement this ordinance once this lawsuit is over. We want to communicate that as Springfield homeowners and tenants, we're prepared to help and do whatever we need to do to take our city back.
That's right.
And of course, right.
You said something.
And of course, we'll always have outstanding demands. No fault eviction, accept rent or reduce the principal rate and sell back the homes to the owners at current market value. Together, we have a voice, and by showing up, we can let the judge know that we care about our city and we want moral justice. Now, who's with me? Jesus too. Amen. Woo, here we go.
you. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
My name is Tammy Sullivan. They foreclosed on my house December 21st last year. The house had been in my home for 31 years. I moved into the house when my mother passed 14 years ago and I owed $11,000. And they came and took it from me just like that. Continuously working with them, and I'm thankful for Springfield No One Leaves program. They're a powerful group. They came knocking on my door that week that it foreclosed. And I like to thank God above because I'm still in my house and I'm not going nowhere. The man is trying to evict me and my daughters. I'm a single mother with 2 children. He's trying to evict me. He bought the house for $28,000 and he want to sell it back to me for $70,000. So I'm not going. Springfield No One Leaves is a great organization. We stand together, we work together, and we keep people in their homes. And it's a great organization. Malcolm Chu is the organizer, so if anyone's having any problems or issues with their homes, see Malcolm Chu, 29 Oakland Street, and I'm grateful for what they have done for me and what they have done for the community. But I told them, you're going to have to drag me out of there before I go anywhere. Thank you, everyone. I love everybody and Malcolm and the organization, and they work. Please, if you need any help, that's the place to be.